we ready to call this meeting to order? Elaine, should we do roll call?
Ms. Barger?
Yes. Here.
Mr.
Here.
Eddy? Mr. Carey?
Here.
Mr. Glissman? Ms. Martin? Here. Mr. Wilbur?
Say
Say here.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Wright?
Here.
Chairman Brewster?
Here.
Yeah, you want to do this.
Oh, this one next. So we have somebody special to welcome to our Shade Tree Commission this evening.
I don't know about special.
Well, we'll see. You want to tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Drew Farrell. I'm the 4th Ward City Council person that was elected in November. In my other life, I'm a teacher in Westerville. So I taught social studies for 7 years, and now I work with other teachers, and that's what I do.
Nice. Well,
But I'm
welcome.
happy to be here.
Yeah, welcome.
Councilman Farrell will be a city council liaison. He won't be a voting member
Okay.
this time, so
Okay.
he can help relay things back to council if you have any concerns, and good in-between person.
Great.
I'm sorry, I missed it. He will be or will not be a voting member of the Shade Tree
He's
Commission?
just a liaison. He is
Liaison,
not a-
yes.
Not a voting member.
I'm pleased to see him here because the Shade Tree Commission has not had any city council rep, for years.
Couple of years.
I think George Hellinger was the last one, and that was several years ago.
Yeah. Well, we'd like to introduce ourselves to you. My name is Shannon Brewster. I live here in Delaware. I live in your district. Yep. And I've been on the commission 3 years, 4 years. Yeah. Anybody else want to introduce
Yeah,
yourself?
why don't we start down there?
Yeah.
I'm Grace. I go to Delaware Hayes, and I'm like the student member. So I
Mhm.
talk with my environmental science teacher about what we talk about here.
And I'm Becky Woodmeek. I am a realtor also, and I also man your ward.
Susan Wright. I'm also a 4th Ward resident. We're a little
A
lopsided
lot of
here, aren't we?
accountability
We
here.
are, yeah.
I am in a semi-retired position with the Forest Service Lab north of Delaware. I'm a science editor. I've been doing that for the last 20 years. So.
Oh, I'm Tom Walber, longtime member of the Shade Tree Commission, along with David here.
Yep.
I even forget, when I started. Okay.
All right, Dave Carey. I work for Forest Service up on Main Road. I work on emerald ash borer and some other invasive kind of stuff. And yeah, I've been in the Shade Tree Commission since '08, maybe, something like that.
Melissa. I'm newest member, maybe? Yeah, definitely. Right, since November. And I work at Oakland. And I don't know whether to say here or yes for most of the things yet. And, I'm pretty bad at it, yeah.
We're good.
Well, good to meet everybody. And since most of you live in my ward, feel free to tell me when I screw up.
Thank you.
Oh, do we need a motion to excuse?
We do.
You can?
I move that we excuse members Stan Eddy and Tom Glissman from the meeting tonight.
I'll second.
Roll call again?
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Or no, or
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Wilbur?
Yes.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Brewster?
Yes.
Thank you.
Did everybody have a chance to see the motion summary for the meeting that we had last October?
Yes, I move that we approve the motion summary of the minutes from the October 23rd meeting.
A second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Farger?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Wilbur?
Yes.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Brewster?
Yes.
Thank you.
We've now moved on to public comments, and we do have a member of the public here.
I'm just visiting, but I would ask if you could turn up your speakers?
Oh, I don't know. Do
If
we
you
know
just
how to?
bring
just
your
need
mics a little closer to your faces would be preferable.
We must be a shy group by nature.
Or maybe I need hearing aids.
Well, welcome, and thank you for joining us. Doug, you ready for the arborist report?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll do the year-end summary first. Last year, we planted a total of 105 trees. 35 were done by city staff, contractor did 70. We actually did prune more trees than what I was anticipating last year with 1,219 trees. Contractor did some dead wooding in some of the trees also, 8 of them. We removed 67 trees last year. The 40 moved by contractor were 24 to 30-inch plus trees that we weren't capable of removing ourselves. I will tell you that most of them were silver maples. Stumps goes along with the removals. We still have some stumps out there, but we're getting them slowly but surely. We did do completed 255 service requests last year. So if, we look at that as a working year, that's quite a bit total. Park trees, 2 trees were planted in the parks. Those were dedication trees. Some minor pruning done in the parks. Few trees we took out and stump removal. We did 19 total plan reviews last year for new development and redoing of some renovation projects. Anybody have any questions on that?
Yeah, I thought we were going to get away from doing dedication trees and do something.
The dedication trees, we're still going to plant the trees for people that want to do a dedication, but the
Oh,
plaque is
yeah,
not going to
that was
be
it.
in the park.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
going on to the Tree of Life
Okay.
once that
Has that,
has not been put up yet.
okay,
I think Ted's still working on
yeah.
exactly what he wants to do with that.
My recollection of that was off, so thanks for reminding us.
In the month of January, anybody else have any questions for the year end? The month of January, we were able to go out and prune a little bit. It's been kind of weird weather, so 68 trees pruned.
Wow.
We did remove 2 trees in January with the stumps, and we only had 4 service requests for the month of January. So when the leaves aren't on the trees, people don't really pay much attention to them. So that is it.
And the plan reviews on the January report were the ones that we're doing tonight,
That is
correct?
correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Doug.
I have a couple questions, if I may,
Sure.
for our arborist. I think the Lee Yoakum sent out a memo at the beginning of the month informing the public that 2 large trees on West William Street, will be removed. And they're gone. So may I ask, what the rationale was behind that?
One of them was dead,
Okay,
and the other one was growing into the lines in the telephone pole and had
okay.
about 30% of it was dead in the top. So
Uh-huh.
the thought process was to remove the trees before they fall into the street.
Okay, that makes sense. And one other question. I saw crews working around the trees in the downtown area in January and February, excavating the wells. It didn't seem to be tree-related. It's more like utility-related. I'm not sure. But the trees got exposed, and the holes got filled with what appears to be, mostly gravel. So I wonder what's behind it. And did we do a disservice to those, trees?
The trees will be fine. Most of the root systems are deeper than what they went. They were excavating to repair all the electric in the boxes in the tree wells to be able to support the light system for the downtown lights that are on the trees. So the trees should show no ill effects
Okay.
from it.
All right, good. Thank
They
you.
used a vac truck. The roots weren't cut unless the root itself was on the electric right where they were working at. The roots were very little of the roots were exposed to anything. They used the vac truck to suck out the dirt and water and rock, gravel in the area they were working in. They made the repairs that were necessary, then backfilled. Now, I can't guarantee all of them got some soil back in them, but what little bit of rock that was in there, it's no worse than what any of the trees that are planted on the streets would be.
Peripheral question. I heard a presentation by the Main Street Delaware director, is it Susie Bibler? And somebody asked the question about some sidewalk repairs in the downtown, that some of the blocks, if that's the right word, were uneven, and it's caused some falls, and there's plans to replace or repair. Anything that's going to affect any of the tree wells?
Shouldn't.
Okay.
Shouldn't. Everything would probably go off those elevations of those tree wells
Okay,
themselves.
okay.
Does anybody else have questions for Doug?
I have two. One is the wells. The wells are just, are they concrete barriers?
I believe they are. I don't know. I wasn't, anyone, the
So is it, I
one,
guess my
two,
question.
three, the 5 trees I've replaced in the downtown area, I've never had to go out far enough to find out what was out further. I believe they're concrete,
Okay. So,
down to a certain foot. Like,
right,
they're like 3 foot down, and then there's nothing underneath that.
right, okay. So the functional thing there is if it's a virtual well where there's soil, or it's actually a barrier.
Yeah.
And that could impact.
I don't think
what-
any of the.
What options we might have for planting different things.
Yeah, I don't think any of the sidewalk lifting is a result. I haven't seen any root issues as far as causing the sidewalk issues.
From what I've heard, a lot of the sidewalk issues are more because the buildings have sub-basements that go out to the street originally, so they were backfilled when the sidewalks were put in, some of them. So that's settling over time is kind of
Yeah.
caused the lack of leveling.
Right. And then when is the fiscal year for the city?
The
Or-
fiscal-
July 1.
Is it January?
January.
He knows
Okay.
more than I do right now.
All right. So, will we be getting a tree fund update at some point?
Yeah, I meant to, actually, it's my fault. I meant to ask Ted what the number was, but we'll definitely have, actually, we can probably just email it out to you.
Okay.
For what our update is.
Does anybody else have questions for Doug? I've seen your crews out all winter, and I'm glad you had some things to do outside. Okay, community outreach activities. So, I know last year we had sign-up sheets for these. Were we doing that again this year?
Last year I did, the Sign Up Geniuses.
Yeah,
Do you
it was
think that
great.
worked? I can do
Yeah.
that. I think we just need to know what activities you're thinking of doing and.
Well, I saw today on maybe Facebook or something to that effect that the city is doing a 50-year anniversary for Arbor Day and planting trees at the park over by
That is
the
Earth
Y.
Day.
Earth
That
Day,
is-
sorry,
that is
Earth Day.
Yeah.
So I know we have these 3 events, but I wanted to make sure that we addressed whether we should consider being a presence there because it's a bunch of trees or saplings being planted.
That is Caroline Searchy, the watershed
Yeah,
coordinator. She's putting together that. The forestry department is helping, the forestry division, I'm sorry, the urban forestry division is assisting her. The planting area is going to be where the new park is out on Houck. road. Basically, we're going to create a new forest coming into that open field area that's in the back, because that's not going to be finished sports fields or anything in there. That's all going to be a wilderness type park. Similar to the wetlands, but not wet like the wetlands is. So
The dry lands.
the main forest, the old growth forest, is going to remain. There'll be a path through there with some activity, exercise stands in there, and then there's going to be a exercise station that'll have there's a dozen different types of activities that you'll be able to do there, but most of it's going to be a walking path through more of a, very similar to what's at the YMCA wetland area now.
Okay,
That is the Wednesday before Arbor Day, so.
okay.
So do you have a plan for Arbor Day?
Well, I reached out to Mr. Bakunis again and see if we could do the same type of deal at the high school again.
Okay.
So, and I think he
Yeah,
mentioned that he spoke to you
today.
about it.
I just talked to him today, and he said his class also, he told me that if there's anything that we're doing or that Delaware's doing, that their class would be welcome to be involved in anything, like they would help in any of these activities.
Oh, wonderful.
And that would be April 24th. Arbor Day is the last Friday, correct?
Correct.
Mhm.
And that'll be the same time, 10 o'clock in the morning again, because I think that's what time his class starts at the high school for that class. Now, the planning that's going on Wednesday before that is, I have to double check, but it's in the late afternoon.
I think it's 4:30 to 6:30, if I
Yeah.
recall, the Earth Day.
And that's just going to be seedlings planted.
Right. I'm sorry, 4:30 to 5:30, it's a 1-hour event.
I anticipate it probably will go over just a little bit.
Well,
It's a lot of trees.
well, they said they were calling for volunteers and asking volunteers to bring maybe gloves and shovels, but everything else will be available, according to what I read today. And there is gosh, I wish I brought the link to it, but there's a map and a sign-up sheet, and I think they're taking donations.
Do you know what they're planting?
I do. There'll be river birch, white oak, redbud, dogwood, and I believe there is some maple going in there also. There'll also be serviceberry too.
Okay. It's a good mix.
Oh, sycamore. There'll be sycamore also. That's the other one.
Okay. I was not at the Arbor Day event last year. How many folks did we have? Anybody recall?
We had a
High
class that
Was
was
the school?
probably.
Did
about-
anyone from Shade Tree?
I was there, yeah.
You were there? Okay.
It was a small group, and it was raining, I believe,
Mhm.
but maybe
I
with the
was there.
students,
I was there.
You were
Yeah.
there?
Our
Okay.
class
with the
was,
students, maybe 15, 20 people, something
yeah,
like that.
we had a pretty small class. There was probably like 15
Mhm.
or so.
Okay. All right, and then first Friday in May? Is that right? First
Right.
Friday in May?
May 30th?
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, May 1st?
Yeah, May 1st. Are we going to be doing saplings? Are we going to have, Dave?
Oh, yes, we do. They are ordered and all of that. They're on their way.
Wonderful, wonderful, that's great. Okay, we did 2 shifts, right, for that, usually, 2 set up, tear down. And there's a tote, who has the tote, somebody?
They're stored at the city.
Okay.
I will organize the totes, but I will actually not be in town on that weekend, that day. But I can get everything organized before I leave, other than the seedlings, which will show up on the site.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Dave, you usually bring them or
Yes,
make
they
sure
will.
somebody
They
has
will
them.
magically show up.
Appear. Disappeared. Let me think. I might be in town. I will be. I should be here. I like doing that. Okay, so we'll do Sign Up Genius for that one.
I'll find the tote. I think it's under my desk.
Oh, my.
I got a lot of things under my desk.
I have no doubt. I love it. And I feel like we did, what, 3 a shift? We were hoping for 3 a
Yeah.
shift.
Yes, we,
You can
Ideally,
get-
that would be nice.
You can get by with
You're lucky
2,
if you
but
get 2.
And will the city, Elaine, do you know if the city will have a table and a
I'll
spot
order-
for us?
I'll order, I'm on the Main Street board, so I can request a table.
Oh,
so,
great, thank you.
And then I'll grab a table and get it out there. But if anybody needs a chair, I think that was an issue for one of our members last year,
Seating,
was getting a chair for them to sit. They couldn't stand as long, so.
gotcha,
If
okay.
you think we need something like that, let me know.
I'm a soccer mom. I always have 2
Right.
chairs in the back of my
Yeah.
vehicle because I'm
I've got
not standing
chairs,
for
too.
soccer tournaments. Not happening.
We can bring,
Make sure we have something. Okay. All right, well, that's good. First Friday, the Now. I feel like I miss that one every year. I'm always on vacation. That is June.
20th, I think,
Yes,
Tom.
I think
Okay.
so, yes. Mhm. Saturday, June 20th.
Okay.
And I will be in town for that, as far as I know.
Oh, look, it doesn't look good. No, I don't think, I might, who knows, but I'm scheduled to be on vacation. We shall see. Do we need to maybe table signups for that, maybe our next meeting? This is February, March, April.
I could maybe put that out after the May 1st Friday one, so it doesn't get too clustered and confusing.
Anybody have an opinion on that? I'm not sure I want to volunteer for June today. I'm not sure I want to commit. Okay,
let's wait till closer.
okay.
So are we going to attempt to do anything on Earth Day? Are we going to have a presence
presence?
at the Earth Day?
I would like to have a presence. I would like to go.
I would too. Where was
As
the
an
sign?
individual or as a collective, as a group,
I
as a
think it's-
representative of
I
the
think
city?
it'd be as a representative.
I
of
think
the
so
city.
too, yes. Would be appropriate.
We need T-shirts made. I'm just saying.
Wear your WOW T-shirts that they always give out every year.
Or toboggans, because it will probably get a cold snap. Okay. Probably, do we need to do a sign-up sheet for something like that? We could sign up on the website. There's a link to sign up. I think it's Eventbrite tickets.
Where'd you find the website posted?
On the city's Facebook
Oh,
page.
okay.
Like, I think it was posted at 4:30, and I was multitasking.
I'm sorry, are
Um,
you talking about Earth Day or the?
I'm
Day.
talking about the Earth Day event, which, I wouldn't even know. I'm not even sure how I got on the city's
I
Facebook
can-
page.
I can email you the information
Okay.
tomorrow if
It's
you want.
4:30 to 5:30 on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Do you want to take the Tree City USA flag to the Earth Day thing? Would that be appropriate?
I don't know. Would we step on their toes? I hope not.
No,
Oh.
no, no. Caroline wouldn't mind.
It's just a thought.
Yeah.
Well, we are Tree City USA. They're just actively making it better. Okay. So if you email the committee, if
email
you
it.
track it down and send it to us,
I'll do that tomorrow.
and then we can sign up individually on the site. But I plan to attend if I'm free. I've already put it in my planner. Okay.
Just to confirm, in years past, not last year, but in years past, we also did that YMCA Family Day. I haven't seen a date, but we always tagged that on to Earth Day. That was a Saturday, and we did our tree planting, or not Earth Day, I'm sorry, Arbor
Arbor Day.
Day, tree planting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just confirming that we're not interested in doing that.
I feel like
Like way
last
too
year they
many.
didn't have it, and that's why we didn't participate.
Well, there was a change.
They changed the
think it
format.
went
Yeah,
inside
some-
the format.
And
Because it
we-
was like, I remember seeing like a bunch of stuff in the gym. It was mostly like dentist office, like local,
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But people were set up, it was relatively small. I think it was just one side even of the gymnasium.
Which is a lot smaller than it, when we
Well, I
participated.
don't know if it was a weather issue that it was.
Mm.
Never had.
I feel like they changed it because of parking or.
Parking, traffic,
Oh, parking was an
overcrowding.
issue.
It was too
lack of
many
parking
people.
spots.
Is it normally on a Saturday?
Saturday
Like,
morning.
It's a Saturday morning or something.
Mhm. So I haven't heard a thing about
At
it,
what time
and
I
you know
went
what, maybe that's something we should look into.
Well, my
I don't know.
recollection was that when we sent the scheduler out, and I got nobody to commit to doing it. So between that and the issue with parking, and I can't remember what the other conflicting things were. But Doug also wanted to do a tree planting on Arbor Day with students, so we had moved that to a different day.
Away from the YMCA.
To
Away
actually
from
Arbor
that.
Day.
The YMCA
So,
for a couple previous
For whatever reason, we didn't participate, and we need to just confirm we're not going to participate again.
I think,
It affects the number of trees we have to give away, and I don't know how many
That's right.
Dave ordered.
It's 300 again.
300.
You're right, I agree with you, Susan. I think it was that we just didn't have anybody available. We were all busy that day. We had plenty of trees left over after the first Friday, and did not have good survival with the trees that were left. And I put them in pots, and we ended up having maybe a dozen or so that we gave away at the Now Festival.
Yeah, there's a big time span there.
2 months.
Yeah.
Keep 'em alive.
No, but they had flagged out kind of early in that process, so. I talked to the Soil and Water folks about that, and they did say that they came from a different source last year. And they go through the same nursery, but the nursery sometimes subcontracts depending on what they can get a hold of and what they grow. So we'll just have to wait and see what we get.
So maybe we should think about another opportunity to distribute these trees. If First Friday, if we're not passing 300 of them out, I hate to think they'll go to waste.
Yeah.
But I also
It all
know
depends
that's
on the
a,
weather, you know?
Yeah, it really does.
yeah, we've had some really bad First Fridays in May.
Is there a farmer's market the next day, on that Saturday?
It doesn't start till May 31st,
Oh.
I think.
Because that would be real to like roll it over
Yeah.
and
Right.
hand some out have a table there, just leave the table there.
Arts Festival is
Yeah.
within 2 weeks.
Overnight.
I think, right?
Arts
Yeah.
Festival.
Middle of May,
Festival
yes,
and
yeah.
Alumni weekend, that kind of stuff.
Well, it's something to think about, isn't it? I hate to even bring it up because I do know that April-May window is busy for the commission. We put a lot on our plate. And then we don't do a public outreach again until June. I don't know, just something I was turning over my mind about this, making sure the trees have somewhere to go other than a pot waiting, hoping to make it till June. But just a thought. Okay, so we'll do Sign Up Genius and we'll get some information on Earth Day. All right. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions about those, the outreach?
One last question maybe for Elaine. If and when we participate on First Friday in May, I assume there will not be an issue with insurance because we are representative of Main Street Delaware has asked, nonprofits for proof of insurance. That would not apply to this commission.
We're
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Well, the only other loose end is what's in the tote and if we need more of what's in the tote.
I'll take care of that.
The
Okay.
sheet, yeah.
I'll
You-
do the
you a great
inventory
job.
and later on the agenda, we'll be looking at this, and I'll make sure we have adequate copies of these to also to hand out during both events.
Great. All right, moving on to the discussion of the City Council Annual Report. Listen, it's my first go-around is leading this group. I really enjoyed being in that seat. This is a fun one as well, but I'm like the blind here. So, who's going to present? Does anybody want to have any comment? Has everybody seen it? Does anybody want to?
I don't think we have one. It's, you have last year's. that
Why is it on our number 7?
Well, normally
We
we
have to
present
prepare
to
it.
council, in the past, the Shade Trees
Oh.
presented to council a new report.
The one that you put together?
And we
I
just updated.
update, with everybody's help, and feedback and input,
Sure.
I have been updating, and Doug's statistics, are very helpful too. Updating the annual report, and then somebody, usually the chair,
Oh.
goes to city council and presents an abbreviated version of the report, which will be part of the agenda. So city council members will read the entire report, but your presentation might be only 2 or 3 minutes in length, just focusing on the highlights.
Well, since we're meeting every other month, ideally, are you waiting for feedback? Will you want some of that feedback from us so that you can have it ready
Well-
for us to review?
I can work on I can update what I have, with the
Okay.
information that, that is available to us, and send that around within a week or so to everybody, maybe, as an
Okay.
email attachment or something.
I like
And then
that.
you can have feedback, and and everybody needs to, the majority needs to approve that report then. And then once it's finalized, we can, send it to Elaine, and she will attach it to the city council agenda. At the second city council meeting in April, maybe, around Arbor Day, Earth Day.
We usually try to do it around the Arbor Day, so that would be after Arbor Day, which is the 27th,
Mhm.
unless you wanted to do it before on the 13th. But I can work with you on what date works better, even if you have to move into May.
My question is, can we get it approved?
It's not,
It doesn't need approved.
Oh.
By
And
us?
That's not a formal, if we do it
Okay,
by
great.
email, I think it's okay.
Yeah, okay, good.
what we've done in the
That's
past.
great.
I think you have a good format,
Yeah.
just making
Yeah.
sure you have all the information.
Yeah, just updating statistics for
Mhm.
last year and such.
But I would welcome, however, everybody's feedback and input, that's the way it should be, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so if we could all make an honest effort to look over what you've put together and have
So
some
if
feedback.
we, per se, did it the last meeting of April,
Mhm.
I would need a final copy at least a week before. So mid-April would be
Mhm.
good.
20th?
I don't see a problem, yes.
So depending on when you're wanting it on to a council agenda, I will need, we'll have to set when that deadline,
Sure.
I need it so we can get it into the packet.
And would that be April 27th? Is that what you said?
Yes, that's the second meeting.
Okay.
There's a meeting on the 13th and the 27th of April.
I feel like traditionally that's when we try to do that.
But, I mean, if that doesn't work, we can move it into May or.
Well, there's usually, the mayor usually has an Arbor Day proclamation
Mhm.
Right.
that coincides with that report
She's been doing
And-
that at the school, I believe.
It's
instead of
going
at the
to be
council.
on the
Okay.
We can do
24th.
either.
Oh, well, I mean, if she wants to, I think the school is more appropriate in theory.
She was doing it more during, I believe, I don't remember, she came in brain last year.
Yeah,
but-
it was raining.
But we
Okay.
had typically done that before at council, and then but we weren't doing the Arbor Day planning as much.
Right.
in that way.
Okay. I don't have a preference, to be honest with you. I was just throwing it out there.
Trying to remember.
Because if they wanted to do a proclamation, it would be, yeah, the 27th would be good, or the 13th, I mean, just to advertise
Proclamation's
it, but,
written, so it can be done.
yeah. So, okay.
Well, let's shoot to, I'm sorry, what date did you say you needed it by for the
Well-
27th?
I mean, correct, so if the meeting's the 27th, April 20th would be good. The agenda packet goes out that week, so.
Okay. All right, Tom.
That's weeks away, that's no problem, yes.
I love it.
I would have 10 reports in that time frame.
Wow, I'm impressed. Thank you for your continuing effort. Okay. All right, moving on. Staff comments.
I am. We were named Tree City USA again, the 39th consecutive year, named the Tree City USA. The ceremony will be at Mount Vernon Nazarene College on April 16th from 9 to 3 o'clock or so. And if any of you would like to attend, we need to know so we can get the registration sent in.
What date was that again? I apologize.
April 16th.
I might go this year. You need a commitment by,
Let's say 2 weeks.
okay.
I missed the location, Doug. Where's that?
Mount Vernon Nazarene
Mount,
College.
oh, right here in Delaware, in Ohio, yeah, okay. Knox County, yeah.
Okay. I have attended once, and it was great. I enjoyed it. The food was fabulous, but I enjoyed the speakers. And it was nice to pretend like I've known about it for 30-some years. No, it was nice to be a part of the event and be recognized. Okay. Did
Sorry,
you
what
have?
time? Did you have a time?
It's from 9 to 3.
Are you driving?
We probably will.
Carpool?
Mhm. We can.
Doug's driving.
I like it. Okay. Any more staff comments? All right, moving on, member comments. Melissa?
Well, I'll just say that with, Melissa and I did a tag team month of December, January. We took the information that was basically in the flyer that Doug provided from the International Society of Arboriculture, and we gave it our own touch. Tried to make it a little more user-friendly and tried to emphasize the correct way, and I think the other flyer just was real negative. So I think Melissa, who did the design and layout, did an excellent job,
Mhm.
and I'm pretty happy with it. I'm real happy with it. So
Pepper mold's good.
I think we,
I just kept taking out words, because the more,
Oh,
you
I
get,
agree.
you start writing, and you're like, no one's gonna, like.
No, I think mulch good, volcano mulch bad. It says it all.
I don't know,
I
I
like
kept,
it.
we did circulate this via email, so
Yeah.
I think everybody had an
most
opportunity.
people gave some sort of.
So we will
It's good.
still continue to take any comments for the next 2 hours.
I
We
did
will
tell
add,
Doug I needed a picture of his smiling face to put at the bottom,
Yeah.
where it said,
That
like,
wouldn't
call
happen.
Doug, with like a Batman pow of Doug's face.
we will add Doug's phone number.
He's really
With his
sold on
permission.
it.
There's the smile, that one's perfect.
And then we will make copious copies to be able to provide to our,
Are we still talking about sending it out with the
Oh.
emailing?
forgot about that.
We had talked about that at one point.
So I get, this is obviously 8.5 by 11. I think we had discussed different flyer options,
Yeah.
trifold, front and back, like, I don't, if there's other formatting that needs to happen, or you had even said with the, like in the flyer, like it might just be even like a quarter page, like something within a bigger page, which obviously then it needs to get even more,
Or the
it's
city's.
literally just gonna say good and bad, I think, if it has to be.
Well, that
for-
explains
I mean,
it. I
that's
mean, it's
right, like,
really
it's gonna
let-
be 2 words and a picture of it,
Yeah, let me make this
and-
suggestion. Elaine, can you talk to Lee Yocum and get him to commit that we can have a quarter page, a half a page of the flyer, of the city mailer?
Right,
And depending on how much space we have, then we'll decide what to include.
right.
The version that that was going around, is that a copy we can edit?
I don't know what I sent it
Well,
out as,
because, I mean,
JPEG,
it's
or,
gonna need,
I don't know what I.
like, the number, we have a number thing. in
Yeah,
there,
I
like,
didn't know
there's some-
Doug's, you know,
Right.
if he wanted what
But Lee
extension,
might
you
make
know.
some, he might wanna put the city logo on there somewhere small, something like that.
Well, I thought,
If you can just get me the working copy.
okay, right, like, I had thought about doing different, but I think you had said something that they have the logo to add on or whatever. I mean, I guess,
No.
I have obviously a
great.
Photoshop file,
Okay.
so, well, I made it in Photoshop. So, does someone have Photoshop to edit it with if I send it? Because if I don't know if I send it, I mean, I can try to send it as with editing capabilities of PDF, but sometimes it doesn't always translate, like if they don't
I
have.
believe we do have Photoshop. I mean, I specifically don't, because I'm not that important, but I believe
Or they
that
could
we have
probably
it.
even use the PDF, like if it's a matter of just putting a logo in. I mean, I could put the numbers on there and like send out,
Well, Lee would
you know.
know, right, whether,
yeah, I don't
Maybe
know.
just share what you-
I just need to know if it needs to be reformatted into
Got ya.
different things, or, if, you know, I don't know. Or what phone number anybody wants me to put on there. Cell phone.
203-1000.
Yeah? Is that what you want? Is that what it is?
be truthful.
That's the, Linda's old phone number, isn't it?
Is
Whoever's.
it 740 tree?
I'm not sure who you'll get.
Tree Doug.
Tree Doug.
One thing I would do with those also is I would consider it as a door hanger, as part of what we put on the, we already have a door hanger that we put when we plant the trees, when we do
Oh,
our fall
yeah, yeah.
planting, that we hang on the door to tell people, you know, please water your tree, please, you know.
Right.
And, you know, there might be the backside of it or something like that.
Oh, so if I
possibly.
made, what are those? Those guys are more like that, right?
Is it a half of 8.5 by 11?
Is it?
The door
If I
hanger?
Yeah,
hot dog
it's
it?
about like that. yeah.
Typically, yeah.
Melissa, there's a template from the door hanger box that you can download. I know, I just made some. I might
Yeah.
hang one on your door. But there's a template, so you
Okay.
can just put your information right in there.
Okay,
I think it's Avery that makes them.
right, right, right.
But that's a great idea.
That way, the new tree gets the information
Can they
out to
be
the owner
printed
right away.
two-sided?
What's that?
Can they be printed two-sided?
Sure.
I don't know what the limitations are.
This is a modern age we live in today, Melissa.
And
So
can
could I
we-
take what we already have and send it to my HOA Facebook page? Or do I have to wait for the city logo?
Well, I mean, this isn't complete.
Okay.
We need Doug's
So we
real
need-
phone number.
So we
Well,
need-
I don't think,
okay,
we'll
so we need a
probably
little bit.
put the customer service
Sure.
line on
Right.
there, I would assume. And then
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we'd have the actual emails go right to Doug as much as the public works.
It would have to go
The
through the
parks.
work order system.
Right.
It would go
So-
to customer
So
service.
there'll be a
and then-
couple tweaks, I would think, down.
What are these? Do you want me to be
Okay,
writing
that's
this
fine.
down? Is it-
Where
or
you
someone
have the
gonna email me?
contact to the Delaware arborist.
Yes,
We would, Doug would probably know what better numbers, but, because off the top of my head, it's written down, but we would probably do it to our Parks Department.
okay,
They have like a customer service,
It's 203-1810.
and then the email more to that main line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know the email?
I don't know what the email
Okay,
is.
so we'll need to get the email on there.
okay,
It's like PW, so it's not, it wouldn't go directly to him, it would go
Right.
first to where he can make the service request.
okay.
So those are things I just check with Lee, and I can get back to you
Okay.
onto it, if you'd like.
Yeah, and then let me know how to send it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has that editing ability, but this
Okay.
looks great, it's just getting tweaked, some of
Okay.
the numbers and stuff.
Can this go on the city's Facebook page also?
I think that was the intention, the original.
Originally,
Mhm.
we had talked
Yeah.
about doing. And then who does that?
Lee, but
Lee.
once we get everything finalized, yeah.
Cool.
I think you did a great job. I like the fact that if you do not want to read all of it, you have proper mulching techniques, and too much of a good thing can be bad. All right, I got it. And then if you would like to know more, you can read more, and it's extremely informative and to the point. I think it's fabulous, and I'd be very proud to hand that out. Okay, any other questions, thoughts, or concerns about the volcano mulching flyer? Okay, other member comments this evening?
I have, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's follow-up from Ted was wanting to put out little placards throughout the city in front of different trees with the value, the payback, not a payback calculator, but the ecosystem values and dollars for pollution abatement and that sort of thing. And so I was asked, I had volunteered to try and find some trees based on the inventory, which I sent out to Ted and maybe Susan and Sharon.
Shannon?
Did I send it to
Inventory?
you? Yeah, it's an inventory thing and a Google Earth thing.
Ooh, yes, I did see
Yeah,
something like that.
But it was, the punchline is that it was unsatisfying. The inventory and picking out big trees from the inventory, that was kind of fun. It was kind of cool to see where they were, but it really didn't give any impact to, or any inferences to whether or not that would be a good spot from the perspective of somebody on their feet and where they're
Foot
going,
traffic.
right?
Mm.
And, okay, you could put that in front of the best tree in the city, but if nobody's going to see it, then who cares? So I don't think that's a good plan. So
I think
we
that,
need to approach it a different way. And I guess my suggestion, sorry, Susan, would be just for Ted to follow his bliss on that, I suppose.
yeah. I walk Mingo Park a lot, but along a walking path, someplace in one of the parks where a lot of people go. That's where I was hoping that we could find something. Not that I found anything, but
Yeah, well, there are opportunities there.
yeah,
Certainly.
going with your idea of you got to have foot traffic. And
Yeah.
Mingo is a good place because not only have walking path people, you have soccer people and softball people and all those other activities that go on down there.
Yeah, there are fabulous trees where the Watershed Festival is
Yeah.
that are really good, but outside, I'm sure there are other opportunities. Nothing in the downtown corridor that I found that was like really outstanding, that maybe wasn't a giant calorie pear. Because we've taken down all the big silver maples.
No giant sycamores or no giant,
Did you look at the cemetery by any chance?
Yeah, there were lots of opportunities in the cemetery, but I don't know how much foot traffic the cemetery gets. But
Well, it's not like Mingo, but there are a lot of people that do walk the roads in the cemetery. a lot.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
I actually will drive it sometimes from Liberty to,
Cutting through.
because I want to see the trees. And
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
cut
it's a
through
nice
just for that
spot, yeah.
reason. Mhm.
So I guess my other comment is that I think it's a great idea. I don't know exactly how serious Ted is about it, and other than saying yes, what specifically he might want from us. So,
I wonder if it would be, if there's an opportunity to do a group of trees. In other words, the trees that are downtown that are small individually wouldn't have impressive statistics, but if you summed them, if that might
Right.
have more of an impact. Or same thing at Mingo, in the area where we always have the Watershed Festival, if you summed the trees and had one plaque and saying the trees in this area. It's another approach.
gotcha.
All right.
Or do an individual tree that may not be impressive, but then add the statistics for the entire urban forest of Delaware based on our inventory.
Oh, I see. A tree that's interesting, large, maybe not the biggest,
Yeah, one that has lots of foot traffic
but an opportunity,
to,
gotcha, to
those
tell
are other
more.
ways to, I think, other ways to approach it. I don't quite know how the signage would look, but
I feel like Ted had a pretty good idea of what he wanted. I wonder if he's come up with something that, the only tree I find interesting is that tree on West Central with that big burl on it.
yeah.
It's just so cool to look at.
It is cool.
But that's the only tree that I'm not even, I think
The
it's a
only
maple,
tree.
that I thought was super cool, that I'd want to include, because people know what tree it is. You know, the idea
Yeah.
is to get somebody who's not really that interested or doesn't know a lot to get interested, to want to know more. And it's
Right.
a groovy tree.
I was thinking about my only misgiving with this process, because it's like, well, you could put these things sort of in places like near stop signs or whatever, where people can see them, but I don't want to, I'm not sure that's the best idea, because you're going to encourage people to not look at the road and pay attention to what they're doing. And so I was like, it'd be a great opportunity, but maybe,
Dave,
maybe
there-
cause more problems than we're trying to solve.
There are a handful of traffic lights in this town that are excessively long, especially like the one at
Franklin and
Central and Franklin. Maybe there's a tree right near that
Franklin and
intersection.
William.
Everywhere you drive, is that what you're saying?
I get where you're coming from, and I think it's kind of a smart idea, but could be a safety issue.
It's a big linden tree right there.
Central and Franklin?
Oh, behind where it
Right by
comes
the
down off,
church.
behind the jail? Oh, yeah,
No,
across
right
from
by
the
the
church.
church. Yeah, there's two big lindens
Yeah.
right behind the old sheriff's office too. but-
Well, okay, so instead of having a tree that has a lot of foot traffic, what if you brought that to like, what does have, because he was talking about like maybe having just plaques or something, but what if you had like what if, like tender for trees? Like, where, like slides of these with information about 'em for like the Facebook page or for, other, where you had a place that people were already looking at, and then you offer the information, and then, okay, that you'd reiterate it with a plaque at the tree, where if they were walking there at Mingo or something, whatever, they'd be like, oh, I recognize that tree from Facebook.
Because
you
it's
know,
famous
like,
already.
Yeah, that famous tree. But it would, like, if you were bringing it, like, through social media or something, then people would be more apt maybe to look for that sort of thing if they knew that you're even doing it, like, instead of
Like Pokemon Go?
stumbling upon, yeah, we need a Pokemon app for trees, basically. Wouldn't that be cute?
It would
People
be-
just walking around,
Amazing.
staring at their, like, trying to match the tree that,
Yeah.
like, they,
That's my kind of Pokemon
and then
Go,
they'd feed
right
their
there.
trees.
You could just put them
The
straight on
doctors-
Tinder if you wanted.
What is it?
You could just put them straight on Tinder.
Yeah, you basically need, right, and people could swipe.
Well, they do the, what is it, it's the cache, where they're, not money, but geocache.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
geocaching.
Yeah.
it's a big thing. I mean,
It is.
I'll be out working and I'll see this car stop and 5 kids get out of it and go running over to a tree, and I'm like, going, what are they doing? And the guy working with me, he's a teenager, or
Yeah.
he's young, he knows
Hanging.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Or the Pokemon Go stuff too. I mean, it's like people running around with their phones.
I think it's an interesting concept. I think it's the start of something
I don't know
really
any more
fabulous.
about any of the programming part of, or any of that other, or how to ever make that happen.
Yeah, but,
But, except like taking pictures and having some sort of like
I bet it's not
database or
really that
something.
hard to do.
no, longitude and latitudes and get a
Probably
list
half the
together and.
students can do it at least.
Yeah, that's a
We have a
good,
computer
yeah,
science class.
young people.
Young people.
Yeah.
The youth. Let's put the youth to work on this one.
Here's your project.
No, it does sound, I mean, what, we've got these
It is
First
kinda
Fridays, here's your trees, go find them,
It'd be
like a scavenger hunt.
cool, like,
almost.
end of the, like, fall. Because we have nothing going on in the fall.
We don't, we're pretty busy in the
We're-
spring.
We're busy spring, but then we kind of die down as far
Okay.
as public interaction.
Oh, this is interesting. Wish Ted were here.
I'll tell him he needs to make sure he's at the next one.
Okay, good. We might have to bring that back up then. We put that back on to discuss.
Yeah,
I,
it's an interesting idea.
it's a spark and it's community involved. Okay,
Well, if it's more interactive, then, I mean, not everyone, even if you have a tree that necessarily does have high foot, not everyone's apt to read or, I don't know. I mean, like you have to kind of want to be if you made it more interactive or something where there was some other kind of
mhm.
competitive or, other element to it that like drove people to
Yeah,
do it, then.
a driving force.
Right, then, I don't know. I don't know how to make people interested in things.
I don't believe that. But I think it's a fabulous takeoff for this idea.
Something to consider.
Yep. All right. How about any other member comments?
I have something?
Tom?
Two things. I was approached by a local businessman after a recent, HPC, Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Elaine overheard us talking too. Stephen Hartman, Mr. Hartman, complained about the downtown crab apples. There are two in front of his store, and he was not happy that they are blocking the signage, above his door. And he was wondering, well, maybe two, isn't it excessive? Maybe, one could be removed, he was not complaining about leaves, being dragged around or the mess, the crab apples do. His primary concern was the blockage of signage. And the Shade Tree Commission has heard that complaint in the past, multiple times. We never saw any reason to remove perfectly healthy trees. These trees are an investment, they bloom beautifully in the spring. And why remove them unless there are compelling circumstances to do so? But I wanted to bring it to your attention, that there are local business owners who are not happy about the downtown trees, which in their view block their signage, and that's business, that's money, that's income for them. And I perfectly understand that, that view. I got his, contact address here and in case.
He's on vacation.
He's
not
on,
able
yeah,
to be
he's
here.
abroad at the moment, yes.
But I'm sure he'll be back.
But-
So since you've heard this in the past collectively, other than we don't wish to remove a healthy tree, and this is what we, is part of Tree City USA, this is, what we like to have, what else do we come back to these folks with?
Well, one solution would be, a possible solution would be to work with Main Street Delaware, because they have expressed a desire to replace the crab apples with some other species to be determined. And there has been talk in the past about replacing, the existing trees with something else that might be less, dirty and messy. So that's possible way. Another possible way is to indeed, somebody might look at this particular business and determine, if two trees are indeed too excessive, because one of the trees is close to the intersection of West William and North Sandusky Street on the northeast corner. But, as a member, as somebody who loves nature, who loves trees, who's a member of the Shade Tree Commission, I'm reluctant to suggest that route. On the other hand, we have a duty and obligation to be open-minded to our local, business community as well, and accommodate, their requests if appropriate and if feasible.
Can they be pruned in a way that would make their sign more visible?
We prune as
Shaking
much
your
as
head
we
no.
can from the trees, health-wise. I think it's a situation where you have to look at it where you have one viewpoint of, it's blocking my sign, to the other viewpoint is one reason why people come to downtown Delaware
Because it's beautiful.
is because it has beautiful trees and it's a beautiful area. So he may not have the business if the trees aren't there. That argument could be made just as easily as it's blocking my sign, so I'm not getting business because of it.
Can I ask a question too? You said it was the northeast corner at Sandusky, and how much signage are we blocking? The main sign or all of the signs?
Am I allowed to, what business are we talking?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Elaine, help me out. It's either the Bear Bowl or there's a Blue Door. So the business next to the coffee shop at the corner.
He owns the building, that's the
Green
Green Door.
Door, yes.
Oh,
But that
Scott
building
doesn't-
is kind of a weird building where part of the front edge is on Sandusky Street, but then there's another part, it kind of like makes an L and it comes out onto
oh,
William
yeah,
Street
William
also.
Street.
right.
So right where that door is for like Chow and the Solar Saloon, there's another building, and that's also part of that. It's just a really odd building format, so he has two frontages.
I'm going to go back to what Doug said. I mean, I think about driving in parts of different counties and bigger cities where there are no trees, and there are neon signs and signage. I'm not stopping there. If I'm not familiar, it's not a desirable place for me to stop. But my question really is, what is being blocked? The sign or numerous signage? I mean, some of the businesses downtown have a sign. This is ABC Box Store, and we do this, and this. Are we blocking all of his signage, or, or just the one so I guess maybe, that's my question. Are
They
we?
have the green door, like, isn't that like their, like, that's what they're called, it's like their statement, and that their door is actually green, I work at Wits, and we don't have any, our sign isn't covered, and they're right across the street, and so,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would say that probably you're gonna find 50-50.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But you're right, it is part of the charm of downtown Delaware, and it's part of why people like to come to town.
There's research on it too, that retail space with trees inspires folks to stay longer and spend more. So there's arguments to be made for the trees. People, it's been my peripheral experience that folks that are with business acumen believe in their marketing, and signage is a big deal. And I can't really speak to that, to be honest with you. But I think there is a defense for the trees. Plus, I think when the downtown was redone, part of the reason they put the crab apples in is because there used to be some, and people really liked them. And the citizenry was like, hey, what are you putting back in? You got to put these trees back. And that's kind of what I wasn't here at that time, but that's the story I remember for why they were put back to begin with, is because the citizens of Delaware kind of wanted them there. So they don't have to be crab apples, right? They could be something else. And Susan, you had suggested that maybe now would be a good time to revisit whether or not to replace some of those trees with other species.
Well, when
But,
the issue
you know.
first arose, we had a tree fund of $0, and we couldn't hardly replace anything downtown because we didn't have the money. And my only point was that instead of replacing all the trees at some point in time in the future, that we should be gradually making changes while we have the money, so that you don't have, you know, a bunch of little tiny trees like we did for so many years after they replaced them all. And if we, and at that time, if you wanted to consider an alternate species, something that was less dirty, I thought the main complaint we were getting was the dirt associated with the fruit.
The fruit, the dried fruit.
So the signage thing is, I think, is, over my course in this committee, it's a secondary complaint.
Generally, when we receive a complaint about signage blockage, we can remedy it. We go down and we do our best through pruning to clear it so that you can see it.
But replacing the trees with a different species is not gonna solve
No.
the signage issue, because you're always, if we are committed, if Delaware's committed to having trees in the downtown, there's always gonna be that come up, so.
I mean, it's kind of mean. He just bought this building at the end of last year. That tree was there before it. He knew it when he bought it.
I know, I think I know who listed it.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it was,
Well,
so,
So he's new. I don't think it's mean. I think he's new. He wants to know what
but if he
he's
didn't
got
like it,
going on, what he can
he
do.
didn't have to buy that building.
Oh, stop. It's not the trees. It's probably the access to the second floor that's more discouraging. Okay. Well, I'm glad that somebody approached you and spoke to you about it. I think it's wonderful that he feels that he can, you know, reach out to Shade Tree, because you should.
Did he know you were, I mean,
I think you mentioned, Elaine mentioned that I was a member of the Shade Tree
I
Commission.
sort of took advantage that he was at the meeting.
shoved him off on it.
Here you go. All right. Any
So,
other member comments?
I'm passing around an article that appeared in the Dispatch in January about lanternflies, a new invasive species that is approaching Ohio. Oh, here's the next one now. So don't read it now.
Read it later. Okay, thank you. All right. Is that it for member comments? Since we have a hefty plan review list? Okay, moving on to plan reviews. Doug, let's bring it. Come on.
97 pages.
What?
I went to print, I was gonna print out,
Yeah.
it was 97 pages.
97.
I
I'm
didn't,
like,
I
"No."
canceled. Yeah.
Some of them were big, those plans.
Well, I almost downloaded on my phone. I'm like,
I wasn't paying attention, I almost did.
that'll teach you.
Then it popped up as a 97.
No idea how I made it.
No. Okay.
2009.
Karen Rice,
Can't
do
get
you
it back
mind if
now.
she just does a quick,
I just want to say, I think it's lovely, and is it suitable to put us out at this point, or would you rather wait for it to be finalized?
it's not finalized.
Before sharing it? Okay.
But thank you for wanting to.
The information is good.
Yeah,
This
it's
is not ready.
just the details for
Yeah.
the contact and stuff, and, but, yeah, if you have an email, we can just send it.
Who was the, last year, talking about Montana March?
So this is your full circle.
Yes.
No, I know that lady. I wasn't worried about her.
Yeah, because you guys come up with a much better name than I would.
Okay, we're gonna start with Stockdale Farms. We actually have already approved these plans a few years ago when they were brought to us. Nothing, what's that?
A while back.
It was. Nothing has changed as far as the actual street tree plantings, except for they've added a clubhouse. But there's still, the only tree they have eliminated from the clubhouse area was where the stop sign would be anyway, and I wouldn't have planted. And then they've added their trees and landscape to that pool house area. They added a kids park also, and for the life of me, I could not find it in these plans where it's added in subdivision. But it's in here somewhere.
It's not close to the clubhouse?
This is the clubhouse that they'll be doing, so the plant material, I saw nothing that was,
Kentucky coffee tree.
they said
Again,
there's,
love
well, they said there's one, but I couldn't find it
Oh,
when I looked.
the GB, no. The GD.
Yeah, I looked and looked, and I couldn't find it anywhere on their
Interesting.
plan, so.
GD or GB? There's
No,
GB.
GB
Oh,
is the,
Okay.
GD.
the ginkgo, but the GD. Okay.
So I didn't see anything that was out of, and again, this would be all their own stuff anyway, so. The. But
On the big plan.
I can't find it on the big plan.
Oh,
where it's
on the
actually
block,
at.
the whole,
Yeah,
oh,
so-
okay.
But again, it's not anything that we wouldn't, I mean, they're playing Japanese crab apple, prairie fire crab apple, which, good luck with that, but, nothing that I would say, don't plant. So,
And they've got all those, this campus around the play area, those kids are gonna come out shredded.
so that's,
I mean, if they get into
If they get into the grass. they
Yeah.
will.
and then this was the existing tree index. I don't know if you,
Whoa, that was
if you had a
fun.
chance to look at that. You can fold it, let her go if you want to.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought I was doing something.
Some of the border plans, trees to be preserved, trees that they're taking out. And then this was the, again, though, this was all the same as the first round. And their sample areas. Anybody questions or anything?
I'm just gonna get my glasses. Wow.
Yeah, it does make you.
I'm gonna have a hard time driving home. Interesting. Yeah, I can't even, wow.
So,
Get away, Doug. It hurts.
so the original plans, again, this is small because I just printed this off of what I have that I saved for myself. These were the trees that we had approved for it, and I'd say let them stand as they are, and stamp the whole thing, and then I'll run it through. So it's good info.
So they did the math on the last page of what they tear down, what they're putting back, and what they owe, and all that good stuff.
That's all balanced
got it
out?
ready.
Is that supposed to be the idea?
Well, it's just supposed to be all.
25th?
So that's the. And so at some point, there's a balancing, right?
Isn't it?
To the tree fund.
Yeah,
if they
it is.
plant it enough, then you don't have to worry about it. Oh, that should be on the last page there.
That's what that was.
I got ink all over me from that.
So did they put enough back to balance out
Are
what
they
they're taking
balanced?
out, or did they owe?
Yes.
They did, they put enough back.
I love your diagrams. I know they're really for you, but
Doug,
it's nice to
which
see
one are you
the
doing?
chunks
Stockdale
of,
Farms, because it was the biggest and most.
you know? Yeah.
Do you want to
Yeah.
just email me tomorrow? Because there's a lot.
Yeah, that's fine. It's going to be accepted as proposed.
Okay, great.
It was already accepted before.
Oh, I didn't even, hold on, I don't have a pen.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a virus going around. I'm just kidding, I like this pen. I'm just kidding.
You're not wrong.
But I am not wrong. Okay.
just
Just roll
roll it
with
all
it?
together. This is the next section of Communities of Glen Ross, section 16. Marble slab in this area is where they're currently building up in this area, and this is the next section that comes to the south.
What is this?
Glen
Glen
Ross.
Ross.
Oh, Glen Ross.
This goes on forever.
Ever, yes. There's no end.
It's just going to keep going.
When you graduate and join as, you know, a non-school member, we're still gonna be going over this community.
It's okay to me. Elms.
I will say that they're having trouble with finding the new Verizon Hills because
All right.
a lot of people are using them now so much that now they're using the Princeton and the Jeffersons instead.
So, do you ever run into a situation where we've approved this plan and you go out and find out, oh, they couldn't get that species, so
Yes.
they, okay, and then
And
what
I'll do
happens?
some, well, I'll make basically I tell every contractor what they're planning,
Yeah.
where they're planning it. So if if they call me and say, hey, I cannot find new
Yeah.
Verizon elms, can I substitute Jeffersons?
Yeah, okay. then you
That's
just say-
acceptable.
Yeah.
That's not worth bringing it back
Yeah.
here and have it reapproved.
Yeah, since it's already on our list and
Yeah.
it's in the realm of what we're doing. All right, we
I'm
good
just
with this,
curious.
everyone?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Communities
You're
of
right, this was
Glen Ross
easy
as
squeaky.
presented.
Hey, you guys are moving along.
Listen, sister,
You're doing good, you're doing
you
good.
did all the hard work in the beginning for us here.
This is all private. The enclaves, the enclaves two communities, this is at Olentangy Ravines. We're gonna have straight trees on these properties here, but this is the section, this is Curve Road, and this is Curve Road here. And then it goes off the Roanoke and goes south this way. So this is the southwest corner of this development is all gonna be a private
Is this condos?
condos.
Okay.
So the other,
My husband told me, he said they look like they could be affordable homes, which
these homes here are, some of them are slab homes and some of them are half basements. These are being built by, who built all that down in Glen Ross? The Fisher homes, yeah, Fisher's building all these in through here. I saw nothing with the trees that they want to actually plant in their private area. The only thing was they had Austrian pine on their buffer zone, and with the Diplodia, as bad as it is, they just be replacing them, so.
Yeah.
That would be my only suggestion to them, is to get rid of the Austrian pine.
And do you find that these folks normally do on these private, or is this is all part of their private space too?
It is, if they want to, I mean, it's our recommendation that, the Diplodia, if you want to replace the trees, we're going to hold you to it.
Right.
You're going to have to replace the trees when they fail, so.
Okay.
Did
So
you have a
ideally,
Suggestion for them now?
I would just go ahead and intermix the spruce and white
Yeah,
pine,
they're
what they
doing-
already have.
Oh, okay.
equal number of Norway, Serbian, and blue, so just kick that one out and beef those up, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. We feel good on this, that they really don't need our stamp?
Enclaves is,
Except that with change to, you want me to tell you
Change.
tomorrow?
Deleting Austrian pine.
I'm gonna check these out. Yeah, I thought, Dave told me, he's like, it looks like there's gonna be some affordable housing somewhere off Curve Road. I'm like, I don't even know how much affordable housing.
I don't think those are gonna be considered
He's
affordable.
cheaper than me, so. Maybe he's just guessing. He's just the mailman.
Is that one for the store here, or is that Delaware just one?
this is the new,
Oh, gas station.
the new fuel station, Sheets, Delaware. This was,
Oakland Nursery right there?
mhm.
On
I
the
thought
other
this-
side, let's see.
Yeah, originally this
Yeah,
was gonna
right
be
here.
a
Idle.
Lyle.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been wondering about that. We got a notice in the mail, God, what was that, probably 8 years ago? I mean,
No
or
lie.
something. I've been waiting for this European grocery store to like,
Well,
Go
instead
ahead.
you're gonna get a millennial gas station.
just what we need.
Open 24/7, even on Christmas Day. With hot dogs,
If
yeah.
you have another option for gasoline, you won't have to go to that marathon anymore.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he'll get his gas rates is better, maybe it'll help his prices.
Again, all of it's private property planning. We do already have street trees out here that they're gonna keep in place and not disturb. Again, I saw nothing that they have in their planning plan that was an issue.
Are we even worried about the traffic pattern getting in and out of that place? I mean, that was my thought, but.
I'm not worried about it because I'm on the shade tree.
Right, yeah, that's.
I just can't even imagine. Okay.
You know they're not gonna let them come in off of here,
Just
They'll
like
have
they do
an in
it.
and they'll have an out, just like down on 23.
And how many times do I see someone on Speedway making a left turn? Oh, I hate that.
I can
Well,
tell you.
you won't be able to make a left turn.
Yeah, that's true.
because there's a-
That's
Last
true.
month, a guy ended up like in our vest
saw him.
over here.
I saw that.
And, I mean, that's like a.
So where was he
monthly-
coming from?
Oh, wow, but, he was, didn't know how he got there. And
This-
it's just that,
He was
like, the
unaware.
intersection is just, and, I mean, 2 years ago, we had someone like drive through they wedged on a boulder, like
Oh
an
my
owl
gosh.
boulder, like, before they
Because
took
they're
out the
going,
entire
they're
line.
still going 50
Oh,
miles an
'cause
hour
they're
as they're
trying to,
coming
like,
in.
yeah, they're trying to merge,
And
they're trying to
like
determine
determined that
that,
they're gonna make that
yeah,
left.
and they're gonna beat the guy next to them, and then they're in the nursery. I don't know.
And then,
Is out coming out?
no, these are staying, these are
Oh,
the ones with the
okay.
actual ones, that this was their tree survey that they did for the site. And then, of course, over here is Raccoon Hollow, or what's the name, you've been swimming.
Cactus Hollow, the
Cactus
former,
Hollow.
yeah, it's gonna be, a big park, yes, someday, I hope. This actually is, I was, sorry, I know that this is a sensitive wetland area, there's a creek running through, and you have a gas station right next to that, I'm not happy about it. But it is what it is.
This planting,
This is staying,
that's just what they're
that's
leaving.
existing, that's staying, yeah.
There's gonna be a pond, yeah, I think, yes, a retention pond on the south side of the gas station.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there's no one, that they will put one in,
Oh, okay, well, that takes care of the runoff at least.
yeah.
So, since you're familiar with the area, is this the high point or the low point?
That's the low point.
Okay.
No, you go down to the dog park here, the wetlands, it goes down.
The dog park is right there, right?
And it's
Right.
Isn't it closed?
Yeah, is there
So
a
it is
reason for
closed.
that? I would like to know. Okay. Is there a reason for why it's closed?
So that we can repair the turf, give it a rest.
Because
Good.
we had a light winter, right? And dogs trashed it.
Well, we close it from mid-February till mid-April, it's closed so that it can rejuvenate a little bit.
Okay.
Sheets, Delaware, approved as presented. So she's
I'm impressed with this cover, though. This is good. I've not seen one that fabulous, have we?
So as we go in, as we come out,
A little limited over there.
You're done with me. You're over it. There's nowhere to eat Delaware, then. What are you talking about?
I don't see a sidewalk, that's not, unfortunately.
There is some discussion right now that this will be a bike trail that's gonna come in with the Point project, that they'll extend this as a bike trail
Good.
through here. Or
There's an existing
or
bike
they
trail.
talked about somehow making
Ah.
a bike trail back through here.
Maybe
That
it's
would be
safer,
nice,
maybe
yeah,
safer.
when
Yeah.
coming down off.
And we can get our heritage trees maybe back through here, because this looks like there could be some candidates, maybe. Okay. A little far in the future.
So these are all gonna be really fast, fast and easy. so these are this is the schools, well, they're all just
Oh, yeah.
informational. Shoulder, actually,
Carlisle and-
Dempsey. Dempsey, Carlisle,
Can't
and
believe they're
Schultz.
adding on to Dempsey already.
They're adding on again.
Yep. Running out of space. Another wing to Schultz.
I feel like
and so-
Waze is running.
Technically,
out of
they're,
space.
they're preserving all the trees that they have, except for they're taking out one hornbeam. But they are,
So they're adding on to Schultz again? in
well,
Carlisle?
it's a bus turnaround is what they're gonna do. This is Schultz, it's gonna come off of the backside of Pennock. This road is not currently being built. It's gonna be just a bus turnaround. But I think, actually, I do think that is gonna go through, isn't it?
Yes, it's gonna go straight, connecting Cobblestone and Pennock, yes, I live in that area.
And with the bus turnaround on the backside.
And this wing will be new too, this is the new wing.
I see where we're at now.
And Dempsey's just knocking down the old tech center and replacing it.
No.
Really?
Yep, yep.
Oh, bummer. My daughter lives right there, not in Schultz, there. That's such a neat building though. Isn't that where the in-school suspension happens now?
I had orchestra.
It was the original Drive
I had
headquarters.
orchestra.
Yeah,
not
well,
orchestra.
my son, he's
I don't
originally
think I
was
was
there.
there. ISS.
Yeah.
So
When I
they're tearing
grew
this
up in the
down,
neighborhood, that's
putting
where it
something
was.
else?
Was that way for a long time.
Yeah.
Are they taking the trees out then
No.
here?
I have my orchestra
Just,
class in there. You walk out.
When you were at
One
Dempsey or
hornbeam
right
is
now?
coming
And
out.
that's it,
That's
okay.
it. Everything
Wow.
else they're gonna preserve.
What's your
There's
instrument?
not much big stuff there though.
Viola,
That was
yeah.
there. Okay,
The one hornbeam is right here.
so
And
what,
it was in Fort Hill.
are they
well,
gonna put
Fair
something else there or are they just gonna make the parking lot bigger?
I don't know what the actual plan is, other than that.
Okay.
And then Carlisle is just this one tree right here, which is a crab apple that they're saving. They're just letting us know they're saving it.
Are you, this is it?
That's
They're
it.
letting it, oh, no, it's very nice. It's not-
Yeah.
These are northern red oak, they're gonna be planting along the street. I don't have any problem with just that number of northern red oak there, just that instead of trying to split it up.
Yeah. Looks good. Thoughts, everybody?
Delaware City Schools approved as.
Don't you love
Presented.
being in the know?
It's just informational, so. This is Charter Next, which is out on the Hop Road, South Hop Road. All they're doing is basically adding an addition onto the backside of the building. It affects no trees. This is just turf area currently. They're not removing any trees. They're not adding any trees. They have the nice pond and landscape in the front of their facility.
The airport is right here for your orientation, so it's
Okay,
all close to the airport.
so is that probably why there aren't any trees?
No, this is this side of the train tracks, then on this side is that trucking company, and then Nevada, and then the airport's back over here on the other side of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, there's no road frontage in the back, so they don't have to worry.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
so,
wow. That was the least exciting, Doug.
well, they're not gonna
I
be
know
much
you-
more exciting.
I
from
know
it.
you can't control that, but sheesh.
Charter Next approved as submitted.
Oh, see, now you make me pick up your pen. Sorry, I got that pinched nerve in my neck. I always pinch your grabs.
This, I know you got a big printout in your, was probably most of the packet between this and Stockdale. There really was no landscape information on it because it's pretty much all existing currently. This is where they were gonna build, originally was the Home Depot was being redeveloped between Myers and Kohl's. And instead now it's a Five Below,
Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby, TJ Maxx. So there's no landscape. There is on the plans that you'll see, there'll be some trees that'll go down to the side, and that'll be determined later, at a later date. Someone tried to tell me they were already there, and I'm like going, okay, so they're gonna build this building with the trees right there 5 feet away from them, that's not gonna happen, so. I don't know if we'll have to revisit that, but for now, I don't see a problem with just approving it as it is. On the plans, it shows there's trees, so we'll name those trees at a later time. Even though it's private, they'll still have to plant those trees.
Okay, this was really boring, but very informative. Very informative. You were hoping for the Home Depot?
I was really good.
Menards is just a hop, skip, and a jump, though. Yeah, but then a hobby club. I know, a bunch of junk and more.
This is
Well,
I'll
bunch
leave
of,
it at that.
okay.
going out
So will you.
Central Avenue, past the new fire station in Lexington Drive, Lexington Boulevard. There's the empty field space that's there. They're gonna build originally there was talk of a Dollar General or a dollar store going in here, and now
These
it's,
stupid stores.
now it's
Can we get a
going,
Trader Joe's?
this
Yeah,
is,
thank you.
this is going to be a storage unit now.
I think that's
So-
better than Dollar General, to be honest, how many they
Um,
use
So this is Lexington right here?
This is Central.
Central.
This is the fire station here. So
Oh,
it's
so
the
it's
field
right behind it.
right next to it. And this is our park. This is Lexington Park is back here.
So what are we looking at? They're just putting a building there?
confused.
Are they gonna
Yes,
put
sir.
Lexington
Anything.
Boulevard's here.
Are
Okay.
there
This
trees
is the
there
new
now?
fire
Oh,
station.
gotcha, okay, okay.
This is Central.
Yeah.
Makes that little
Yeah.
curve right there, and then Locust Curve is back
Yeah,
over here.
yeah. For the old implement, what was it Mitchell, Larkham and Mitchell,
Mhm.
the implement? There was a big white building there for a long
Yeah.
time.
And this is that ravine, which is going to be maintained and
Yeah.
Is that their parking?
that's some of the parking for it. It's
It's like
mostly, it's a
9
storage.
spots
It's a storage
Yeah,
building.
you don't-
for
So-
somebody, like a
you don't
business?
park there.
Now you go into your,
Storage.
into the storage unit to,
So they're assuming there won't be a boatload of people there at the same time.
right.
Something as,
You
this
can
is
pull up
reserved for
these right
something
in.
else that hasn't been named.
Right.
So there's a retention pond there, it looks like, right?
Well, this is,
That's existing.
yeah.
Or then will be, it's not right there, is it?
No, this is all ravine, and
Yeah.
that's gonna remain. The ravine and the woods will remain.
But this is,
Well, I think it's
this
just.
is man-made structure, whatever this is. Is that already there?
I don't think it's
Mm,
man-made.
It says
It looks-
prop basin, so that's proposed.
Okay, so,
It's sort of
so
a,
they're gonna have to do something, they're probably gonna have to take some stuff out to put that there, is my guess.
Yeah, good, I mean, I guess I'm like. Yeah, it's just trees, I mean, it's just a kind of a naturalized area there, right?
So what are we approving?
It's informational.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Oh, I'm
That's what I was
sorry,
confused.
yeah, you're not approving any, it's just I'm sorry, it's an
We're not approving
informational.
anything, we're just seeing for that.
Yeah, it's
So
informational.
we've looked at it, right? Do we have a different stamp for that? That says look at,
You've approved it now,
Reviewed.
so.
reviewed.
This is the next section. Willowbrook, section 3. I didn't color these.
So is this a continuation of what you've already put in section 1 and 2?
Yes. And we'll continue with the same tree
Mhm.
plantings that we've done.
So it's Willowbrook, so is that public street or private street?
These are private, or I'm sorry, these are all public. This is
Both
Boulder
are public,
Drive, yeah.
the housing development's called Willowbrook, it's not the,
Oh, it's not the other one.
yeah.
Yeah. It's getting confusing. Mhm.
Rockford and Ryan.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, are we good, everybody?
You know, my last flame of Bradford pears all right there. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll put an outlaw.
Yeah.
Like this one.
Willowbrook, accepted as proposed.
What was the informational one?
That's the storage.
I didn't,
West Central, that's
I
that was
didn't
not on the agenda.
I didn't, oh, okay, I was gonna say, I didn't put an informational one on there, I don't think. Merchants retail?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, it's
VFW
I just didn't
post
write,
it
I
says
didn't
so
write.
back.
In the back, yeah.
No, it's my fault.
You can see it better from 23 on most
Right.
things.
In fact, I just saw it from Sandusky this week, or in the past week, I was like, oh, okay, gotcha. So what are you doing in the parking lot?
Oh, that's the VF, right?
It's also a new addition.
Oh, yeah, they're taking some of the parking lot here. Okay. What you got? Building addition?
Yeah, this is just a
Trees.
building
Say,
addition.
are there any trees there?
No, there's nothing here, this is just informational for you.
Just a big parking trees.
Yeah.
Okay, informational.
VFW approved is submitted. That's it, correct? That's what you have on everything?
That's what I had, yeah.
Double check.
Totally.
Well, we had, Willowbrook, which you did, VFW, Terra Alta, did you do that?
That's Stockdale Farms.
Okay. And then Sheets,
Yeah.
Schultz, Merchants Retail, K2 Development.
Yeah, that
It was
the
the Hobby
Hobby
Lobby
Lobby,
one,
yeah.
That's a southern thing. Sounds good.
Enclaves, you did that. Communities at Glen Ross, you did in Charter.
We see it.
I'm really proud of you.
Well, that was like 15 minutes tops.
I was
I
great.
haven't seen any.
It just looked more done than what it was. That's it, that's all of them.
Thanks, Doug. Cool. Well, you probably
Good luck.
get it really early.
I'm going to MASH tomorrow, 6:30.
When you're looking at Subway, you're like this.
Process fees.
He knows, he knows.
Just sign those and then.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.